Hey, I'm Bree, and this is my sister Jules. I'm an English teacher,
I'm excited to be sat today.
and together we drink wine as we unpack the brilliant writing of the hit 90s sitcom, Boy Meets World. Cheers! First of all, can you please explain what was that? I am happy to be sat today? What do you mean? What does that mean?
Sat, like I'm seated. Yeah, I have been
Sitting is the opposite of standing.
literally, I've been moving the last 2 weeks. So I'm finally sitting down and I'm enjoying sitting down.
The opposite of running around.
Correct.
All right, what are we drinking today?
We are drinking Moët and Chandon champagne brut.
Woo! What is the occasion?
The occasion is I spent 2 hours running around town trying to find Lifevine Sauvignon Blanc, and I could not find it anywhere. So I asked Brie, what do you have that I can find within the next 20 minutes? And Moët and Chandon was on the list among 5 other wines. And guess which one I found? The most expensive bottle. So we are going to make an occasion and drink this lovely champagne.
Woo! Champagne on a Tuesday for no reason.
Because we are the new adults and we can do whatever we want.
It's called free will. Ever heard of it?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's take a step.
Why do I always brush my teeth before these episodes? It's such a bad idea.
Oh, I like it.
It smells like rich people. Yeah, that is a fancy champagne.
Yeah, it is. It's good. I have to say that my favorite champagne is Taittinger, but this is pretty damn close. This is really good.
What do you like about it?
I wish mine was a little bit colder, but that's my fault. I don't know. It's just smooth. It's not sweet at all, which I like. It's very dry. I like when I don't taste anything at all, and it just goes right down, and it's very clean, and it feels like almost like a palate cleansing beverage that would be really nice with like a very light cheese. Easy and good.
Well, I wonder if any of these aromas appeal to you. Apple, pear, peach, citrus, brioche, and toasted nuts.
Yeah, I like brioche and I like toasted nuts. This is good.
Yeah, it's good. The country is France. However, Moët, it's pronounced Moët. It's Dutch. The word is Dutch, but the bottle is French.
Fascinating. I definitely have been calling it Moët. But you're right, there's an umlaut over the E, which is not French.
Interesting. I wonder if Chandon is French and Moët is Dutch. Pierre Gabriel Chandon de Briey is the son-in-law of Claude Moët's grandson.
So they're both French.
Yes.
So the Moët, I was looking it up, the E, the umlaut over the E is not an umlaut because, yes, French does not use umlauts, but French has a diacritic called the tréma, which looks exactly like an umlaut. So it is French. This reminds me of our episode about Haagen-Dazs.
Oh my God. That was a big...
Oh my God! Wait, sorry.
That scared me. What?
I was going to say, that was also the episode where we referenced Brian Jordan Alvarez, because I remember talking about accents in that episode. And I just sang the sitting song in this one, so we're going back around.
Wait, what?
Is that weird?
That is weird.
It is the opposite of standing. Oh my God, viewers, listeners, we saw him. We saw him in Woodstock, New York. We ran into him. I saw him on the street.
You did not run into him. You passed by him and you were like,
yeah.
And then you saw him again in his car and you were like,
literally, that's
what
exactly
happened.
what happened. And I didn't say anything to him because I totally froze, and I should have been like, Brian Jordan Alvarez, I love your work. But I didn't say anything because I am actually a dweeb around celebrities.
Yeah, and I was next to you the whole time, and I saw him 0 times.
Anyway, let's get into it. So we watched season 2, episode 10, Sister Theresa. Synopsis: Cory learns that it takes more than manners to be a gentleman. Air date November 25th, 1994. This one was written by Jeff C. Sherman. We've definitely seen him before. Directed by David Traynor. Viewers 15.5 million. what were your first impressions?
This was one of those episodes that I remember so clearly. I specifically remember the car scene at the end.
I remember it too, and I remember watching it around the same time that I was reading The Outsiders, and it just gave such Outsiders vibes. Even in the car, TK is telling a story about her dad talking to some redhead behind him, and that reminded me of the scene where I think it's Dally and maybe Johnny's with him are like talking to Cherry. Anyway, there was just like a lot of Outsiders vibes in that scene, so I totally remember it too. Yeah. My first impression, I love this episode. I loved it. I thought that, what was her name? The actress who played Theresa, Danielle Harris. She was so good. She stole the freaking whole episode. She was amazing.
What else is she in?
Good question. So she is a scream queen. She was in Halloween, in the Halloween series. She was in Halloween 4. I think she was in the first Halloween, but she had a very small role. And then she had a larger role in Halloween 4 and Halloween 5.
You said Danielle Harris?
Yeah. She was also in Halloween 2. But you know what I know her as?
What?
The voice of Debbie Thornberry.
Oh my God, no way.
In the
Wait, I'm surprised I didn't recognize her voice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
she has a really distinct voice.
She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which I've seen. She's in a ton of scary movies.
She was also in Halloween 2. So she was in Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, and Halloween 5.
She was the little girl in, I guess, like Halloween 2 who ends up being the killer at the end. Oh, spoilers. But she was adorable, and Michael Myers was after her the whole time, and she was great. And then she ended up killing in the end. I remember that so well.
My favorite thing on her like IMDb is that in 1985 she joined the cast of One Life to Live, and her character was extracted as an embryo from the womb of her recently deceased mother and implanted in family friend Delilah. I just think that that's such a soap opera thing to
It is.
Right?
So that's actually the plot of Jane the Virgin.
Is it?
No, but it's similar. Yeah, she went in for like a routine gyno exam, and her gynecologist was an alcoholic and was very distracted. And when she was going to do a pap smear, she ended up inseminating her, thinking she was another patient. And so she walked out of there pregnant and a virgin.
Oh my God. All right, let's get into this episode with the fabulous Danielle Harris. So we start off in the kitchen, and Cory's being a jerk. He is microwaving his socks because he wants them to be warm when he puts them on his feet. Honestly, fantastic idea. But your mom needs help with the groceries, you jerk.
Yeah. Go help your mother.
Right?
Those socks will still be there.
And so will the microwave. So mom comes in. She's got all the groceries. She's trying to get in the door, and Cory's not helping her. And all he does is pick up the jar of peanut butter and the celery, and he starts opening the peanut butter and ripping out the celery and eating celery with peanut butter instead of helping his mother put the groceries away.
Naughty.
So Amy's like, what happened to you? Like, you were such an adorable child. I have pictures. How did you get like this? And then Alan walks in with a jar of peanut butter and celery.
Also, I haven't had celery and peanut butter in a long time. That was like the only way to really get me to eat celery.
With raisins. Ants on a log.
Ants on a log.
Remember that?
Yeah.
I'm allergic to peanuts, guys, by the way, so I've never had celery and peanut butter, but it looks really good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So then we're in the hallway, and we discover via the writing, which is a little awkward, I'll admit, that the whole theme of the episode is politeness, right? So Cory's mom has basically challenged him to be more polite. That was not nice of him to be ignoring his mother who needed help with the groceries. But I felt like he wasn't so much being impolite as he was being selfish. You know, like I was like, there's a difference between selfishness and impoliteness. Like impolite is like not saying please and thank you, in my opinion, and not like greeting someone when they come into your house, or not taking their coat, or like putting your napkin on your lap, or excusing yourself from the table. Like that's politeness to me. It's a little bit more about like pleasantries and less about genuine selfishness. You know, like
Yeah.
someone can be impolite but be generous, and
Yeah.
Cory was being selfish.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. You're right.
So we're in the hallway, and Cory's like, so mom says, why don't you try being polite for just one day and see if people don't notice? And Sean's like, hey, for what it's worth, Cory, I think you're polite. And then again, polite in my family means wearing a tie for your arraignment. That might be my word of the day. Do you have a word of the day?
I did not. Can we make that the word of the day?
Let's make that the word of the day.
Isn't an arraignment a hearing to, is it to determine whether or not you're going to prison? It's because that's different than an appeal, correct?
Yeah, it's different from an appeal. You're not totally wrong. So it's like a formal court appearance where a defendant is informed of the charges against them and their rights, and where you would enter your plea of guilty or not guilty.
Okay.
So Feeney like drags some kid out covered in fire extinguisher foam. What is that stuff, by the way? What is in a fire extinguisher?
Extinguishing fluids? I have no idea. Let's find out.
Literally, it says fire extinguishers contain various extinguishing agents. You weren't wrong.
Let's see. Water, foam, dry
carbon
chemical,
dioxide, dry chemical.
dry chemical. Like what?
No,
that feels fake. Wet chemicals and clean agent. Oh, it's just like a chemistry experiment in a container. Liquid, solids, and gases.
This is like when I ask my students a question.
It's just
it contains liquid.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure
gases.
it's like just enough stuff to confuse the fire that it's just like, whoa.
Hilarious. So the kid comes out covered in these things. Feeney sneezes, probably because of all the wet chemicals. Cory says, oh, bless you, Mr. Feeney. And Feeney says, oh, thank you, Mr. Matthews. Well, that's surprisingly considerate. See, so like everything's a little contrived in this episode, right? Like, oh, politeness. He's being polite, right? This is politeness, though, right? This is more polite, less generous, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, this was like accurate to me. So Cory's like, good, tell my mother. Eric enters. Eric has like two very quick scenes in this episode, and both of them are hilarious.
Yeah.
He does a great job just tossing out his lines. He showed up for work and he just pulled it back in the best way, you know?
He did, yeah.
So he walks in totally deadpan, like going to the bathroom. Cory opens the door and holds it for him. He's like, allow me. And Eric's like, okay. As Eric goes into the bathroom, Cory's like, is there anything else I can do for you? And Eric just pops his head back out and he's like, no. I'll take it from here. Thanks. Then we get Danielle Harris. So Cory bumps into her. She's like, ah! She's loud and a big presence immediately. I love it. She's like, hey! Cory's like, oh, sorry. He picks up her book. Meet cute. And in a shocking twist, she goes, I don't know. Drops the book again. And Cory picks it up again. And she goes, whoa, twice in a row. You're a very polite fella. Immediately, I was like, who is she? I love her.
The confidence. God, if I only had that level of confidence, even today, I don't.
Right?
Yeah.
Literally, though, like, off the record, I was like, oh my God, I need to be more like this.
I was going to say, is this already going to be your takeaway later of like being more forward?
Yes, like she's obviously got issues, right? Like and I thought they did a really lovely job of giving us a little snapshot of her story so that we understand why her abandonment issues have manifested as this crazy, clingy obsessiveness, right? But it all makes sense. But she's like nice and she's so charming and lovable, even though she's super flawed. She's like the female Sean, but not clingy. Sean's not clingy, but just like in terms of her having a rough background that kind of manifests as this certain type of personality that Cory is then really good for
Yeah.
Cory's, because Cory's really stable.
Yeah.
So Anyway, I'm going in all these different directions now, but I loved her and I loved her confidence. And I was like, I need to be more like this.
Oh, yeah.
But not so much.
Yeah. I also loved, she's not wearing it yet, but when she wears like the sweater vest with
I
the
knew you were gonna say
suspenders, I was
knew
like,
it.
working it.
And her posture was fantastic. I noticed it. That's how good it was. Because kids her age don't usually walk like that. They don't have that confidence in them yet to stand up tall and proud and like they know what they're doing. Sometimes boys will walk that way, and I hate to be like sexist about it, but it really is kind of like a male athlete thing. But with girls, it's not confident. It's not common. And she was just so, my God, she owned that entire set. She was just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. I will say also, if women tend to like slouch a bit more, it's probably because of their chestage. And I speak as somebody with that experience.
Yeah, especially at that age where it's new, right? You're like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's also like when you're young like that and it's happening, you might have this urge to want to kind of cover it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's an interesting thing to kind of go through puberty and start to develop boobs. Some people are like, hell yeah, finally, this is great. I was kind of a cross between yes and also like, no, there's just a lot going on here and I don't want it to be showing.
Yeah. But there's something about her confidence and her posture that was different from, I want to show off my boobs. It was coming from her core, her center. Mm-hmm. She was just like very centered. So she's like, you're a very polite fella. Cory's like, thank you. And she goes, and your smile, it's kind of engaging. Excellent word choice for 7th grade. Mm-hmm. And Cory's like, yeah, I use the toothpaste with swirls.
I know exactly which one too. The little Colgate, red, white, and blue.
Yeah,
the movement.
So she's like, humorous too. You got possibilities. Turn around. Let me look at you. Well, I don't usually go for Velcro heads, but on you, I don't know. It's working for me. You got a name? Who talks like this? I love her. Cory's like, Cory. She's like, I'm Theresa. My friends call me TK. Great nickname. Did you know that she was Harley's sister?
No. I forgot about that part.
Me too.
That should have been obvious.
Right?
But because of her look and she acted so much like him and kind of had a similar accent, you know?
Totally went over my head. But when she said I'm Theresa, I was like, oh, Sister Theresa. And I should have been like, Sister Theresa. Didn't get it. I was like, oh, because she's a nun, but the opposite of a nun? Like, I didn't
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking nun. I wasn't thinking Sister Theresa.
Ha. Cory's like, oh, nice. And then she like whips out a switchblade. And Cory's like, oh, I knew this was going too well. And she's like, chill, it's a pen. And she writes her number on his hand. Again, I need to take a number from this woman. I need to be more like this. So Sean comes out, she leaves. Sean's like, all right, Cory's like, that girl, she wrote 7 numbers on my hand. What could that possibly mean? Oh, he's so oblivious. I love it. And Sean's like, it means call her. And Sean's like, how can I call her when I don't even have... Oh. Oh, and then later when they're in the car and he's trying to like get rid of her, Sean's like, well, what do you usually do to get rid of a girl? And Cory's like, it's usually so easy.
He's never been in this predicament before.
Yeah. And he's asking Sean, like, how do I get rid of this girl who wants me? And Sean's like, I don't know. I've never had this problem before. They're so funny. So we're in the classroom and Cory and Sean are fully having a full volume conversation in the back of the room, even though it's the middle of class. And Cory's telling Sean about the conversation that he had with TK last night. It lasted 2 hours. It beat his previous time with a girl by like 2 hours. And she even asked him out to the movies on Friday night. And Sean's like, she asked you out? Cory's like, yep. And I might just let her take me.
Ooh.
I love that she is driving this car and Cory's just along for the ride.
It's adorable.
It's adorable. And Cory, okay, I forgot to mention this. The first scene where he's like getting the celery and the whole thing with his mom, his voice sounded different. Did you notice it? There was like one point where he said something and I couldn't tell if he said it or Amy said it because his voice sounded so mature. Granted, it did sound like a mature woman, but it sounded mature. So Turner comes in with the announcements for homeroom. And as he's reading them, TK comes in, hands Turner a note. Turns out she's gotten herself transferred into Cory's homeroom. Red flag number 1. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I got scared.
And she's asking if she can sit at the same desk as Cory. But she's so cool that like the way she asks is she's like, Mr. Turner, is it okay to sit two to a desk? And Turner's like, I'm thinking no. And she just goes, for a 5 spot? And some people in the audience were like, ooh. Did you hear that?
I did. I did. Yeah. Also, I'm glad she said 5 spot because I didn't know what that meant. And there's a place near me called the 5 spot that I like to go to. And now I know what it means. It's a $5
Is that your word
bill.
of the day?
I
your
guess
phrase
so.
of the day?
Yeah, 5 spot.
Why is it called a 5 spot? Let's look it up.
It's just slang for like a $5 bill. Like if I give you a 5 spot, can you give me a 5 spot? Like, can you spot me $5? That's kind of the origin.
Oh, spot me $5. That's why it's called that. That makes sense. So then we're in the living room, and there is a wreath. I mean, it looks like a funereal wreath.
Funereal?
That's not really the right use of that word, but yes, a funeral wreath in Cory's living room. Also a clown made of candy. And Alan and Amy and Morgan are waiting by the door when Cory comes in from school, and Alan's like, welcome home, Cory. Your wreath is here. Cory's like, wow, look at that. Alan's like, yes, that alone would have been excessive, but wait, there's more. Your very own life-sized candy clown. And Morgan, who is way more mature suddenly and had an awesome part in this, very short little scene, but she killed it, I thought, goes, whoa, can I play with him? Like, has completely ditched the screaming. Now can speak in not only full, complete sentences, but like very quick, fast, full, complete sentence. Like, she had an acting coach who completely transformed her, and she also grew up. Good for her.
Spoke at a normal decibel level.
Yes. Cora's like, sure. And then you can eat him. And Morgan's like, why can't life always be like this? Alan's like, and now it's time to tell your parents. Who is TK? Cora's like, she's this girl who kind of likes me. And Alan's like, no kidding. Cora's like, and I have you to thank, Mom. Well, you told me to be polite and considerate of others. So yesterday, a girl dropped her book. I picked it up and boom, I'm in a relationship. Alan's like, I'm in one too with this guy. And Tony is the delivery guy. I felt like Tony was an important person. He struck me as an actor that we should know.
Yeah. Right? Let's look him up.
Herschel Sparber. Oh, he was in Osmosis Jones, a Goofy movie, and The Birdcage. Oh, he's legit. Wow, he was in Spider-Man 2. He was in Rugrats All Grown Up.
2 characters in Rugrats. I think Danielle was also in Rugrats. Rugrats Go Wild. Oh, because she was... Okay, that was the one. That was the crossover.
Oh, yeah, Debbie Thornberry.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tony comes in. More stuff for the kid, Alan. Sign here, right under your other 3 signatures. Alan's like, believe me, I know the routine. Amy's just like, what's up with this girl? And Cory's like, she's very sentimental. You know, flowers, candy. And Alan goes, sirloin steaks. She sent him sirloin steaks.
I want to know how she's financing these gifts.
Literally, I was just about to say that. She hands money to Frankie in the car. She's got so much money. Like, what is this girl doing?
Yeah, the sirloins.
Lobsters.
Yeah. Or maybe she's bullying these people to send these gifts.
I went in a different direction with where I thought she was getting the money. Based on the reputation that she has around the school. Based on Harley Kiner's question to the boys when he asks about his baby sister.
Interesting.
But
Interesting.
we're going to choose to believe that she's a hustler in other ways.
Yeah.
So she sends him sirloin steaks. Alan's actually pretty excited about that. They also have a funny moment with Tony. Amy's like, we all need to sit around and have a conversation about this girl because this is getting out of hand. And Tony's like, I'll go make us some steaks.
He's an
And then-
opportunist.
I know, I love it. And then, like, I don't know if he delivered this so well, but the writing is great. There's like a pause, and he's just like, I'll find the way. So then we're back in the hallway, and TK's freaking out talking to Cory. She's like, they sent a wreath? I specifically told them roses. Also, I love the line. Cory's like, yeah, I got the steaks and the candy clown. And she's like, the fuzzy yarn head made me think of you. So then Joey the rat and Frankie are walking down the hall and they bump into Cory. And Cory's like all ready to apologize, but they start to apologize. They're like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, what is going on right now? And then TK hangs up the phone and taps him on the shoulder when he's like, what is happening? Why are they apologizing to me? Except also, this is kind of awesome. And then she grabs his face and kisses him. And she says, some things I deliver myself.
That was bold. Oh my god.
Totally. And she acted like they had kissed before. And
Yeah.
that was their first kiss.
Yeah.
And she was so confident she had done that before.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, I'll get my coat. You'll walk me home.
Ooh, jeez.
She knows what she wants.
She does.
And she gets it.
Yeah, mostly because people are afraid to tell her no.
But she's also so lovable. I don't know how to describe. This girl did such a good job because she had me really liking her, even though she was kind of overbearing and a lot. Like, she could be very unlikable if she played it wrong, but she was so charming. I loved her.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So Harley comes out of the bathroom with a wad of cash that he's clearly just taken from somebody in there. And he's like, hey, Cory, how you doing? And Cory's like, Cory? Like, you just called me my name? Harley's like, that's your name, ain't it? Cory's like, yeah, but usually as you're shoving me out of the way, you call me Baboon. And Harley's like, that was then. This is not then. Which I found funny, because do you know what the name of the sequel to The Outsiders is?
That was then. This is now.
Boom. I felt like that was a reference. Just saying.
Oh.
I felt like there were a lot of nods to The Outsiders in this.
Okay. Why do you think they chose to do that?
Probably because the writers are like, what do kids these days read? Ah, The Outsiders. Let us write things that remind them of that. Literally me writing my book. What do kids... Percy Jackson. Let me make it be like that. Right? Like, just... It's what we do. And I believe that Essie hinted when she wrote The Outsiders was basically doing that with West Side Story.
Oh, interesting.
There's a lot of West Side Story nods. Yeah. And I think the movie embraced that with this one scene where all the boys are going off to the Rumble and they start doing acrobatics in the street. And it just feels like a scene out of West Side Story. And The Outsiders is now on Broadway.
Oh, true.
And there's something West Side Story about it in terms of the masculinity of the dance moves and the sort of grittiness that needs to be captured in song and dance.
Is it a play or a musical?
It is a musical, and it is freaking phenomenal, people.
I know.
I went like a little tiny bit viral for my reaction on TikTok. It was unbelievable. It was the best musical I have ever seen, which is a really big deal because I am really hard on musicals that are about books that I, as an English teacher, know like the back of my hand, right? I'm going to be extremely critical of something like that because I know the book so well, and my students love it. So it's like, you got to really hold on to the magic of what it originally was, right? Like, I don't even love the book. I really don't. But I love it because my students love it. And then they turn up the dial on this one reference to Great Expectations. So the literature teacher in me was like, oh, you understand. And Ponyboy sings this beautiful ballad called Great Expectations, where it's like he's sort of transposing himself onto Pip from Great Expectations. Oh my God, I cannot get over how good it is.
Yeah, I know. I really want to see it.
Okay. So Cory has this back and forth with Harley where Harley's being really weirdly nice to him, which should have been our cue that that's his sister.
That's when I started to suspect.
Oh, really? Good for you.
Yeah.
So they're still in the hallway. Kids disperse. We see that someone has graffitied a huge pink heart on the wall of lockers with TK loves CM. And Feeney's like, Mr. Matthews, just the man I wanted to see. Perhaps you can tell me the meaning of this masterpiece? Cory's like, well, I think someone named TK apparently loves corn muffins. And Feeney's like, you want to take another shot at that? Cory's like, no. See you in detention. And Feeney's like, seems unavoidable. Sean comes over. I love how Sean just like pops in these like throughout the episode. Cory's like, Sean, she's obsessive. She's crazy. What's going to happen to me? Sean's like, just relax, Cor. Tell her to slow down. Your date with her tonight? Cancel it. So then TK comes over. She's like, so do you like my artwork, Fuzzy? I'm having a matching one tattooed right over my heart as she's pulling down her shirt to show him her boob.
Her boob.
Cory's like, no, please. Look, about our date tonight. I love him. He could have totally been like, waited for her to pull it down. But he was like, no, I don't want to see it. I'm breaking up with you. I love it. I love him. And TK's like, oh, it's all set. I got the movie tickets, made the dinner reservations. It's under my name, Fuzzy. She's great.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love that she has it all planned out and she's ready.
And she's confident.
She's confident. This is what I'm seeking. This is what I want. I want someone that's going to be like, hey, let's go get a drink. Let's do this. I'll plan it. Let's go here. I love this place. What do you think? This is all I'm looking for.
Mm.
Apparently, I have to be that person. I have been that person for the past 72 dates I've been on. I've been the one that's been like, hey, let's go here. I have an idea. I have been planning everything.
Why do you feel like that is?
Because I'm the only one who gets it going. It's like everyone that I'm talking to on these apps is like, I don't know. Everyone's like laying back and waiting for the other person to say something and like spark something. And I don't really necessarily blame them because something tells me that they were at one point the person who made the effort and then nothing worked out. So now they're like kind of exhausted and burnt out. And they're like, I don't want to do it anymore. It's exhausting. I get it. I'm getting there.
Yeah, but that's wild though. But because you make the active effort to go on dating apps, that requires you to put in at least some effort. So if you're there, you want to go on dates, hopefully. So you should want to set them up, or at least be an active participant.
I think there's something about my energy, and we can cut all this, but I think there's something about my energy that people assume I will take control. Yeah, people are like, oh, she's got it. She'll tell us what we're doing. She'll be the one. So Cory's like, tonight's not good. And TK's like, okay, tomorrow night. And Cory's like, look, Theresa, I think you're a really, really nice person. And TK's like, you're going to bail on me? Cory's like, no, I just need some time. And TK's like, oh, I understand. I understand that no matter how much you give to some people, they're still going to turn around and stab you in the back. You know, I thought you were different, but you're just like every other guy I've met. I'll see you. So this is where the theme of politeness started to crystallize for me. And I was like, okay. So I see what the goal of the episode was. And it was about, at what point is politeness no longer the right thing to do? Right? Because if you just remain polite to this person that you're not interested in, you're going to actually be doing the wrong thing because you're leading this person on, right? You need to sometimes be impolite because you need to be honest and truthful with people. And also sometimes, unfortunately, the world is going to walk all over people that are always polite. Sometimes you kind of need to be a jerk in order to get yourself through a tough situation. That is what I've learned, unfortunately, in dealing with certain difficult situations with like medical insurance people that just want to take you for all you've got. And you've got to kind of stand up for yourself a little bit and be a bit of a jerk in order to get what you deserve, because they're just going to take over, or asking for a raise or something. Like if you're always like taking the back seat and acting like, well, I don't want to be rude and I don't want to ask for more money. It's like, well, you're never going to get it then. In this case, though, obviously it's about relationships. I think high schoolers do get into this situation a lot.
Yeah, for me, I look back to my first relationship, and I didn't want to, like, it was a hard pill to swallow to admit to myself, okay, I don't like this person anymore. I want to break up, but like, I don't want to hurt them. And I've been the kind one, right? The sweet one. And now I'm going to be the asshole and break their heart and be the villain and a terrible person. That was really hard for me to come to terms with. And so I avoided it for so long, and that just made it worse, right? That made me more of the villain. In the end, you're gonna have to stand up for yourself sometimes and say the thing that's gonna hurt for long-term benefits. I feel like this is very common, more common with men than women, where they want their girlfriend to break up with them, and they'll just become the villain in the relationship and be the worst, to the point where they have no choice but to break up with them.
I'll just be really incompetent or really unavailable. Yeah. I love that this episode is exploring that. And that's definitely going to be my takeaway at the end, about how like there are certain situations in which you kind of have to accept that you're going to be the bad guy. And you kind of just have to allow yourself to be the villain in someone else's storyline. Like that's okay. It doesn't mean that you fundamentally are a bad person. It just means that in their life, in their perspective of this reality that we're all living in, you might be the bad guy in that plot line. And that's okay.
And that's okay. And like, maybe if they're a person of integrity, they'll look back and not see you as a villain, because they're like, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am now, or I wouldn't have, they might consider it as a lesson learned, or they might hate your guts and then have like a little voodoo doll, and that's okay too. To each their own.
If they do have a voodoo doll and they're actually hating your guts, I do believe there is also a very thin line between love and hate, and that just means that they really care about you a lot. There's two ends of that care spectrum. There's love and there's hate. If you don't care about someone, you're not even on the spectrum. You're off, you're floating around, you're doing your own thing, you don't care. But if you care enough to hate someone, you care a lot about them.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
All right. So then we're in the classroom. Turner's teaching, and Cory and Sean are having a full conversation in the back of the room. And Cory's like, Sean, she was really upset. Maybe I should apologize. And Sean's like, no, this politeness thing is pulling you down, man. Just go rude. So Sean is pushing. You need to be rude. You can't be polite. You have to say no. It's the right thing to do. You're not into her. And this is where Turner comes in and he's like, listen, I'm sorry. I was teaching while you were talking. My mistake. I've totally said that, by the way. And Sean's like, no problem. Joey comes in and he's like, hey, yo, you Mr. Turner? Yeah, janitor Bud wants to see you down in the parking lot. Something about his truck running over your motorcycle. Turner's like, my bike? Oh. And then he like heads out. And then he goes back in the room and he's like, read poems. That was funny. As an English teacher, I laughed. So Frankie comes in and he's like, okay, everybody out in the hall. Let's go. Move it along. No talking. Single file. So they all leave. And then Harley comes in and he's like, everybody but you, baboon. Oh, we're back to
baboon.
Frankie, you and Joey watch the door. Cory's like, what's going on? This would freaking terrify me, by the way. Imagine.
Oh my God. That would terrify me.
3 huge seniors have got you cornered in an empty classroom. They have successfully gotten the teacher and all of the students out. You are screwed.
Yep.
You are done.
Oh boy.
So, of course, like, what's going on? Harley's like, I am extremely distraught. Someone has stolen the sweet, angelic smile from the face of my sister, Theresa. Cory's like, your sister? You mean TK's Theresa Kiner? Harley finishes. And nobody breaks the heart of Harley Kiner's sweet baby sister. Cory's like, look, Harley, I swear I had no idea she was your sister. You do realize you'd be dead already, except that Theresa says you're a gentleman. Lucky for you and your kneecaps, I deem this a very rare and desirable quality. Therefore, I am willing to let you take Theresa to the movies tonight as planned. So now Cory has no choice and he has to go to the movies. So we're in the living room and he's dressed up in a suit, totally from JCPenney Kids section.
Or Oshkosh Bagosh.
Oshkosh Bagosh with his little bow tie. And he's about to head out the door to his date. And Eric comes in and Cory's like, Eric, how do I look? And Eric's like a ventriloquist dummy.
He totally did.
Perfect. He totally did. And Eric's like, I thought you had a date, but apparently you're going to Sears to take pictures for Grandma. So
Aww.
funny.
Cora went out for Sears.
I know. Sears. Like the families in our lives totally went to Sears to take pictures for Grandma in outfits like that. So I laughed so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And Cory's like, this is for my date. And Sean's like, we want to make sure he's totally unappealing to this girl. And Eric's like, that's good. Play your strengths. Another fantastic line tossed out that I thought Eric delivered very well. So the doorbell rings. Frankie is here in a driver's outfit. He's very cute in his outfit.
He does look so adorable.
And Frankie's like, it is time. So they head to the movies and they're at the drive-in like it's The Outsiders.
I love that. And I'm so curious, question for the listener, how common were the drive-in movies? Because as somebody who went to an urban high school, that just was not a thing. So it feels like a high school movie thing that happens. I feel like all like the classic sitcoms have an episode where the teenager goes on a date in the drive-in. How common is this occurrence?
I have a sneaky suspicion that the writers are all in their 30s and 40s and that they're writing what they know, and that was a date that they would have gone on when they were in high school. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it's the
And-
perfect high school date. Like, you
Yeah.
get to be alone in the car watching a movie, you know?
You guys didn't see that she did quotes around it. Oh, watching a movie, quote unquote.
I've only been to one drive-in movie experience, and it was with my college roommate, and it was so fun. I loved it. It was just like two besties in a car. But then we watched one of the Fast and Furious movies. But it was the one where Paul Walker died. They did like a whole tribute to him at the end because he died in real life, but he died before the movie came out. So they did like a nice tribute at the end, and they had the song, "It's been a long day without you, my friend."
Aww.
And literally we were so moved by that tribute. And this is somebody who, like, I've never heard of Paul Walker. I just saw him in this film. And we were both crying so much because it was just so well done that the windows were fogging up. And I was like, this is not the drive-in fogged up windows movie experience I thought I would be having. But it was still a lot of fun. And that memory is seared into my brain.
Oh, good story. That was a good story. So we're in the drive-in, and speaking of fogged up windows, TK turns to Cory and kind of leans in like she's gonna kiss him, and Frankie's like, hey! And TK, love her. She just goes, Frankie, I'm dating here! Frankie, be a good guy. Go play on that swing set over there. Frankie says, this I cannot do. Oh, the dancing snacks. I love the dancing snacks. This is so old. This is like back from the 40s, right?
Yes.
The 40s and 50s.
I remember that from Greece, right?
Greece?
Didn't that happen in Greece?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was like an old-timey drive-in that was like
Yeah.
vintage.
Which would have been cool. That would have been
Yeah.
a cool date.
Yeah.
So she hands him a wad of cash and tells him to go get the snow caps that are doing the cha-cha. She's like, I think they're saving the last dance for you, Frankie. Frankie leaves. TK's like, well, alone at last. Cory's like, TK, I'm really thirsty. I think I'm going to go grab us a couple of drinks, okay? And TK's like, oh, save your strength. You just sit there looking good, but lose this. And she like takes off his bow tie. Ooh. And she leaves and goes to get him a drink, which she gets very quickly, by the way. So Sean comes in. So he's been like lurking outside the car. He comes into the car And Cory's like, Sean, how'd you get here? Sean's like, I live on the other side of the fence. Cory's like, Sean, she's all over me. How do I get her to stop? And Sean's like, I've never exactly had that problem before. How do you normally strike out? Cory's like, I don't know. I mean, it's usually so easy for me. And he leaves because TK comes in and she's like, so where were we? And Cory's trying to slow her down. Why don't we talk? And then he brings up the Phillies and she freezes and turns away from him. And there's a total shift in her energy. And he's like, what's going on? And she's like, look, I was at a Phillies game once and I didn't have a good time. Okay. And Cory's like, well, what happened? She's like, you want to know? And he's like, yeah, I want to know. She's like, okay, you'll get a kick out of this one. My old man, my real dad, on my 8th birthday, he took me to the Phillies game. And it was so great being there, me and him. He even arranged it so my name flashed on the scoreboard. Cory's like, that's really nice. And she's like, yeah, it was, till he started chatting it up with this redhead in the row behind us. He acted like I wasn't even there. 7th inning stretch. He and she went to buy some beers. I never saw him again.
That is traumatizing.
Cory's like, wait a minute, you're 8 years old. It's your birthday. And she's like, the jerk ditched me. I mean, I sat there for hours like an idiot with my stupid souvenir hat till one of the ballpark guys called my mom. She was sort of under the weather, so Harvey rode his bike down to get me. Her family situation is horrible. Of course, my mind was like, cool, so her mom's a drug addict. And she reveals in this moment that Harley's real name is Harvey, which was a big deal to Cory and apparently to everyone else.
Yeah, I figured they were trying to seem like Harvey was a nerdy name, but I never thought that was nerdy. I think that's like a really cool name, and it's also like the name of the hunk in Sabrina.
The teenage witch.
So I was like, we love Harvey, so like I don't think of it as a nerdy name. Now, if his name was like Eugene, I'd be like, oh yeah, I would hide that. I would hide behind Harley.
What is it about that name? Why is it so nerdy?
Eugene. Yeah, why? Because Gene is all right. And Hugh is fine. But Eugene, I don't know. It's just, I don't like it.
And
sorry,
Eunice
Eugene.
from She's the Man.
Like, yeah, Eunice. Eunice.
What we don't get in our day and age is that back in like the 40s and 50s, there was a very clear split between the cool socias that were like, that's how it's described in The Outsiders, and the greasers. They were basically posh, put together, clean cut, preppy people that had certain types of names that were like money names, and then there were the kids that were street. And I think that Harvey would be considered preppy. It would be considered one of those soch names in The Outsiders.
But I would say Theresa feels proper.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? But she goes by TK. So they both have fairly like proper names,
You're right. Yeah.
So Cory's like, Harvey, the single most fantastic thing I've ever heard, and I can't tell anyone because he'd kill me. She is done, and she's like, look, Cory, I like you, okay? And Cory's like, I like you too. And she's like, well, then come on and kiss me, okay? I'm saying it's okay. And Cory's like, no, I just think we should get to know each other, get to be friends, slow it down a little. I love him so much. And TK's like, I'm not that kind of girl. And she grabs him and pulls him on top of her. And that is when Harley shows up. And Cory locks eyes with him through the window of the car. And there's this huge scramble. Harley's like, I'll find you, baboon. And when I do, you're dead. And Frankie's like, the kid says Harvey. Because at some point in the shuffle, Cory called him Harvey. And Frankie's like, who could that be? And Harley just looks at him with eyes that are like, they're not going to say anything. So we're back in the hallway. Cory's living in his locker. And Sean is slipping him notes through the vents of the locker, which immediately I was like, why are you trusting Sean to give you notes. Where's Topanga?
Yeah, you're right.
Harley comes looking for him. So Cory's like, look, Harley, give me a chance to explain. She was all over me, I swear. And Harley's like, you expect me to believe that my angelic baby sister actually came on to you? Cory's like, Harley, I wouldn't make this up. It's the truth. You gotta believe me. Which I like that there was some character development here because Harley did believe him. He had a moment in his eyes where he was like, damn, this kid kind of doesn't lie. And so if he's saying this with such conviction, he might actually be telling the truth.
Yeah, you're right. I was also thinking that like maybe he also knows his sister and but like didn't want to believe it.
Probably a combination of the two. So I liked how quickly this turned around because one of my biggest pet peeves in writing is when drama only exists because characters are not talking to each other about something or there's a miscommunication about something. Like there's only so much of that I can take before I'm like, okay, just have a conversation, just clear the air. So immediately Harley turns around to a bunch of like random guys in the hallway and he asks them, any of you guys know a girl named TK? And they all nod. And he's like, is she fast like he says she is? Which, again, I feel like the writers are showing their age with this. Like, I don't think that they would have used that term in the 90s.
What would they say instead?
In reality, it would be probably, is she a slut? Like, but it wouldn't be on TV as that. So I think they get away with saying things by making it old school. And then it's okay to say.
I think they specifically get away with it with Harley because he's like an old school greaser. He's just kind of like a character of himself. Yes. So it's you go along with it.
There's like a safety in his approach to bullying. There's like a
like nobody's ever in any real trouble with him.
Yeah. This is a family show, right? So like parents would be watching it, so they would recognize in Harley the character of the bully that they would be familiar with from their time in school, you know? So all the guys are like, oh yeah, she is fast. And Harley's like, you guys know the K and TK stands for my sister. And the guys are like, oh no. And then they all disperse. Harley's like, this is very disconcerting.
Good word.
Good word. Word of the day, runner up.
Disconcerting means concerning, like distressing, something along those lines.
Yeah, like unsettling.
Yeah.
Also, I think a lot of people think it's disconcerting, but it's disconcerting. Disconcerting. So Cory's like, and this is my favorite line of the whole episode. He says, Harley, look, I didn't mean to say she's a bad person, because she's not.
That was important.
So important. I love that line. We're clarifying that being quote unquote fast does not make her a bad person. I think that was brilliant and wonderful. Spoke to Cory's character and his ability to spot goodness in other people, but it also props to the writer.
And I wonder if they're trying to make up from the previous episode. It was suggested that Topanga did something with Cory and she was the slut, you know? And some people were going to talk a certain way about her. I wonder if they were trying to clear the air a little bit.
Love. You're so right. It's been a while since we recorded that episode, so yes, thank you for saying that. So Harley says, I know. It's just you try and do good by him, raise him right, but I guess it wasn't enough. This is interesting because it had me really thinking about what my values are. Like, if a kid is fast, quote unquote, right? Would that be something that I'd be disappointed by as a parent? Is that something to feel like you failed on?
That's a really interesting question. I would like to think that I would not be disappointed if they were doing it for the right reasons, or if they were doing it in a healthy way, if that makes sense. Like if I felt like they were being fast because they feel like they have no self-worth, that would be disappointing. But if they were confident and they just like know what they want and we're ready to get going at an early age, like maybe I would be like, okay, like I still think regardless it would be hard for me because they're so young, but the confidence is key to me. I think
in my ideal situation my kid is like Cory, so I would really struggle if I had a kid like TK. I really would. I would love him to death, but I just would really, I think I've been thoroughly brainwashed enough to think that if you're jumping into sex quickly a lot with a lot of people, that's a problem. That's like I did something wrong as a parent. So I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying I was identifying with Harley in this, but I was also questioning whether or not I should be. But I think he did fail her in other ways, which is why I think it makes perfect sense to me that he was saying this, because he was like, I'm so busy, the pressures, the demands of my day, collecting lunch money and dunking kids' heads in toilets. I hardly have time for my sister anymore. But she, the other thing that was implied that I want to ask you about is that like she has daddy issues, right?
Yeah.
And that's why she's like this. So what do you think about that?
I think that's so interesting. And what's interesting though is that they did not elaborate on this need for her older brother's attention, right? Because he's next in line. He's like the closest thing to a father figure she has, and he is protective, but not so much, not enough where she might like yearn for his attention, if that makes sense. So it totally checks out that she's fast.
I mean, she picks Cory, so she's got a good picker, in my opinion.
Yeah.
My honest opinion is that I think if a girl is getting after a lot of guys, girls, whoever, it's probably at that age not the sort of enlightened, empowered, I know what I want energy that I think a lot of mid-20s influencers online are kind of like talking about when they are trying to like embrace their sexuality. Like I think at that age it's coming from a desire to like fill some kind of void that is there from an emptiness that needs to be addressed in different ways. It strikes me as a need for acceptance. It strikes me as a need for approval, for love, for affirmation, for something, right? Like, and I don't think that it's going to really fulfill that for them in a way that's profound and important and long lasting and fixes the issue, They're also so young. And it's crazy to think about little babies. I mean, he's in 7th grade. 7th grade.
Yeah, that's wild.
That's so young.
That's so young for sex.
Too young, in my opinion.
I agree.
Anyway, but we love her. I love her. I want to be very clear. She's one of my favorite characters. Cory says to Harley, your sister loves you a lot. She told me you're the only one that's always been there for her. And then he says the line about the pressures. And Cory says, you do the best you can. And Harley says, yeah, she needs more. I could talk to her, set her straight a little. Cory says, yeah, that's what's important. Not who she's dating. And Harley says, well, personally, I was kind of hoping she'd date you. Of course, that's up to you and TK. But if it works out and you go out again, you take her somewhere nice. Eh? And he hands him some money and he says, see, my sister, she deserves it.
Wow.
I have to say I teared up.
Did you?
I did, because I was like, she does deserve it. Like, she's giving. She's going crazy. She's going way overboard. But she is constantly giving Cory everything. She's thinking about him nonstop. Mm-hmm. And she does deserve for someone to, like, do it back, take her out.
Yeah.
She's a good soul. She's a good person. I love her character so much. That's the end of the episode. We get a little button where TK is over at the Matthews house for dinner, dressed, in that kind of posh, Sochi way. And they're having lobster, which she has clearly provided for the family. Again, what does this girl do? She turns to Cory. How's the new me coming across, Fuzzy? Cory's like, you're doing great. And then Eric just goes, uh-oh, this guy's missing a claw. And TK's like, that's it. I told him these are important people. This is a very big dinner for me. I wanted everything to be perfect. What do? They send me damaged goods. And then she sits down. Clearly, she's like, oh, no, I have to start over. So she's like, Mr. Matthews, Mrs. Matthews.
It's like a reset.
Oh, so very much for having me for dinner in your lovely home. And that's the end of the episode. What were your takeaways?
I think my takeaways were very similar to yours, but I might apply them a little bit differently. It's this unapologetic confidence that I think I need to exhibit more often. And I think women in general tend to have this problem where we don't want to be an inconvenience and we want to be polite more than anything and to be accommodating.
Yeah.
But that comes at the expense of like our own success and growth and getting what we want.
Yeah.
So this is a reminder. It's not always a bad thing to be very confident and forward, potentially impolite in coming forward with what you want. But sometimes it might bite you a little bit, but it's for some greater good for yourself that
Yeah.
you just have to do. And so I'll take that with me in my life to kind of be impolite in those circumstances where it makes sense. This reminds me of a book that I'm reading called Brag Better, and it's written specifically for women in the workforce. It's essentially giving you ways to sell yourself more and to be more confident and to really ask for what you want and essentially demand it.
That's amazing.
Meredith Feynman, Brag Better, master the art of fearless self-promotion.
Awesome takeaway. My takeaway is what I said earlier about sometimes you need to be the bad guy in a relationship. Sometimes if you are in a relationship that is not working and you want to end it, being polite is not actually the nice thing to do. In the grand scheme of things, you unfortunately need to accept that you're just going to have to be the bad guy. You're just going to have to be the jerk that ends the relationship. And as someone who is on these dating apps and is trying really hard to make connections with people, I am finding that it is very hard for me to be impolite in the sense of if I click with someone on a friendship level and we vibe and everything's fine and the date is good and they did everything quote unquote right, I feel like such a jerk for saying I have no interest in having a second date. Every part of me, the teacher in me, the employee and potential employer in me is like, you did a great job. You deserve to move on to the next level. Like you didn't do anything wrong. It's just, you have to do it. You have to be the jerk. You have to accept that they might go off and be like, I don't understand. Everything was fine. Why didn't she want a second date? Because it just wasn't there. The feelings weren't there that should have been. And I'm a jerk because you were great and I just didn't feel it. And that's okay. And it sucks, but I have to accept it.
Mm-hmm. You have to accept it.
Politeness kills is what Cory said in the episode that we never actually covered. But yes, politeness kills. Just kidding. It doesn't kill. But sometimes impoliteness is important. There's a poem by Gabriela Mistral that I teach every year to my sophomores. It is called In Praise of Salt. And essentially it is about the salt that runs throughout everything and the importance of salt that keeps us from dissolving in piety. And what that means is essentially we all need a little bit of that saltiness of self-preservation. And it's mean and it's rude and it's not nice, but everybody needs it in order to thrive and move forward.
Interesting.
Well, that concludes the episode. Rate and review us. Follow us at Boy Meets Wine Podcast, both on Instagram and TikTok. The name of the wine is Moët and Chandon Champagne. And the theme song credit goes to Julia Rosa. Next week's episode is Season 2, Episode 11, entitled The Beard. Cory discovers that he has the potential to be a ladies' man.
Cheers!